welcome to another episode of the Heartland Franchise Guide, your insider's guide to all things franchising in the local area. I'm Blake Martin, local small business franchise owner and your Heartland Franchise Guide. This is the place for advocacy, resources, and education on all things franchising in the local area. And of course, for entrepreneurs that are just looking to learn a little bit more about the franchising industry. As far as learning about the franchising industry, you can start at any age, and my guests today have proven that. I want to welcome Ashley and Nate Clarkson, who are the owners of Perspire Sauna in the local area. Thanks for being with me today.
Yeah, thanks, Blake. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And speaking of you can start at any age, my reference there was that you were never the folks that had to say to yourselves, man, I wish I would have started sooner, because you started Perspire Sauna as new franchisees when you're in your late 20s, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, absolutely. Jumped in, at the late 20s. I'll let Ashley explain a little bit how and why.
I was going to ask the next question, but you got it.
Oh my gosh, yeah. We were both on a corporate trajectory, and what we were doing in the corporate world, we realized we didn't enjoy. During that process, I kind of took a step back while Nate was still full steam ahead going towards the corporate world, and we kind of realized we weren't sure if that's the direction that we wanted to go in the industry that we were in. So we ran across a concept while we were traveling that was infrared sauna, and we fell in love with it, and automatically something drew us to it, and we said we've got to bring this to Omaha. We started researching. Through a Google search, found an emerging franchisor online, met up with them, really liked their brand, what they stood for, their corporate team, the support, and the rest, I suppose, is history. So,
I mean, when we first found out about it, it was a very quick process, in my opinion. We learned about it when we were traveling, visiting some friends back where I grew up in South Dakota, and when we find out something we like, we research it quickly and hard. So within the matter of a couple of weeks, we knew almost everything we could about infrared sauna without having the ability to have an infrared sauna locally, because there just wasn't many options that were available to us here in Omaha. We just so happened to be traveling the next couple of weeks to Southern California, and that's when we really met with the team at Perspire, fell in love with the brand, the authenticity of the people involved in the process, and realized it's what we wanted to do. It was a passion of ours. We've always been interested in health and wellness, and being able to provide this to people locally here for us is just life-changing.
So bridge that gap for me. It's something that you always wanted to do to help people. What exactly do you do at Perspire Sauna? Yeah,
so at Perspire, there are a ton of awesome benefits. So first of all, you get your own private suite. You're in your own room for 50 minutes for a 40-minute sauna session. No kids, no spouse, just you relaxing while you're getting benefits of detoxing your body, calming your mind, burn about 400 calories, which is also great.
You burn calories while you're in there?
You absolutely do, and you can watch Netflix while you do it.
You sold me.
But no, it's great for muscle recovery, improving sleep quality, and just you feel better when you leave. You feel better when you leave.
It's hard to dispute that. So, $1 million question, and this is coming from a guy who spent a lot of time in northern Michigan growing up. Sauna, what's the right word?
I think it depends on which accent I'm using for the day and how tired I am.
Are you a chameleon now?
Sometimes I say sauna, and sometimes I say sauna, and I'm like, oh, that was kind of cool. Okay.
Your inner Minnesotan is coming out. Okay.
Sometimes when she gets really tired, it's more like Southern twang, so that's kind of fun too.
Yep, but I don't know. I say it either way. I think you pretty much stick to sauna. Yep.
Sauna, yeah.
So either way, health and wellness benefits. Going back to that decision, though, so you found something you were passionate about, and you researched it, it sounds like, in a militant fashion, and I use that term in a positive way. But what gave you the confidence? So, I mean, here you are in your 20s, right? And you're thinking about making a big investment and a big transition in your life. What was it that gave you the confidence to say, we're going to do this, we're going to go all in on this? I'm sure it's not the least expensive franchise out there in the world. You have to have bricks and mortar and stuff.
Yeah, it definitely has a sizable cost. One thing with us, we're always up for challenges and opportunities, especially when we see potential. It combines a couple of our passions for health and wellness, and then also, being, people who want to emerge in business. It gave us that opportunity to own something for ourselves as well, direct our day flow, hire a team, and just live that lifestyle in which we want. Ashley's a little bit more risk averse than I am. I'm a little bit more jumping into things, sometimes with doing not enough research, which she helps balance me out pretty well in that. But no,
very polite way of saying
that. Yes, exactly. When you work with your spouse and you co-own a business, there's a lot of challenges and obstacles, but you have to tackle them together. That's one of the biggest learning curves for our relationship. I think during this entire time it's made us communicate more effectively. Sometimes not always effectively, but we know we always have to come to a resolution that we both agree upon. So that's been a very, very big part of this process that we didn't realize upon getting into it.
Yeah, well, and when you have just a business partner, you can go home at night and you can, if you have a dispute or a very passionate conversation while you're at work or whatnot, you can kind of go home from that and get some distance. But when you're going home to your business partner and you had a disagreement, it can definitely be interesting. And I think we realized that from the time of signing too. Definitely Nate is much less risk averse than I am. And when it comes time to sign on that dotted line, you're really excited. But then as it gets closer, I almost felt this sense of dread. Like, what are we doing? And Nate was very encouraging. He just kept saying, we can do this, we got this. And, he said, we're young. If something happens, then we've got plenty of time to make up for it. But
we did our research. We, made sure we, did all our calculations and assessments. And, when we got to it, it's like, no, we're confident we can do this. We're confident in the concept. We're confident in ourselves. And that's when you ultimately, if you know those things, you have to jump in, and because you're going to regret it if you don't.
Yeah. And
he just persuaded me, so I see how he persuaded you.
Yeah, and absolutely. If we hadn't done it, again, when you can see the potential, when you can look at the business model, and we saw what it could be, we couldn't have said no, and I would have kicked myself to this day had we not dove in. So,
you kind of stole my thunder there for my next question, but I'm gonna roll into it anyways, and that is, what advice would you give to others who are in a similar position, so in their early 20s? I bet there was plenty of people who doubted you guys, right? Like maybe people my age who said, well, you shouldn't do that at your age, right? But you were confident in your skill set. Advice that you would give, I'll say, younger entrepreneurs.
I think the biggest thing for me, again, in receiving advice from other people was taking all of that with a grain of salt and finally just making my own decision on it. So many other things in life that had been led by friends or family members, giving so many opinions and then me not doing something because I just went with what they thought. We had to take a step back, and we didn't tell anybody that we were doing this.
Is that right?
Yep. It was extremely secretive up until we opened. There were not more than maybe 10 to 15 people, including our brand, that knew that we were opening a business. And that was the biggest thing, is just I needed to let go of all those other opinions, all those other thoughts when it was already scary diving into this, and just work through everything on my own. So that's what I tell people is it's great to get opinions and thoughts, but at the end of the day, you have to go with your gut feeling. If you want to make this kind of a leap, if you want to make this change in your life, you have to go for it.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Everybody else's opinion, it's great to provide you some insight, and you definitely always want to listen to them to get what they have to say about it. But at the end of the day, it's you and your decisions you're making for the rest of your life. Being in your 20s, we did have the luxury of, we had plenty of time to make up for it if it didn't work out.
Yeah.
But we weren't going to let that happen based on our mindset going into it. We were committed to doing whatever it took to make it work, and we weren't going to let anybody change our mind about that. And that's the thing, when you have a partner who is equally as committed in making something work and, working the 90, 100 hours or whatever it takes per week, because it's not like we just get to sit back and coast. Even this.
Oh, really?
No, definitely not.
They would just send you a check.
It's not some small undertaking at all. It's intensive. You have a whole team for us to train, to keep tabs on. You have to know the product inside and out. You have to be able to work with customers. You have to be able to market. you're a one-man band sometimes where you have to play all parts to make it work. You can't just say, oh, I'm not going to do those things. If you're not wanting to get out of the community, you have to, especially with a new brand, a new business. Get out there, talk to people, make people know you're there. And if that's scary to you, you got to figure out a way to overcome that, practice it, and get better at it.
If you can't be confident selling your own business, don't expect anybody to be confident in the business, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Before I forget, tell me a little bit about how people can find you and get a hold of you at Perspire Sauna.
Yeah, so we have a couple different ways. You can always call us. Our phone number is 402-513-6364. That's an old school way of contacting us. But we're also on Facebook, Perspire Sauna Studio Omaha. And then we're also on Instagram. Just got a new Instagram channel back. So we are Perspire_Omaha. So look for some new content coming out on that in the next couple of weeks. We have a couple of promotions we're going to talk about this summer. But you can always try a first session for just $20. It's a great, 50% off intro offer. No strings attached. Just try it and see how you like it. See what benefits you can get and see how it can relax you.
Thank you. So overall, the business has been a success for you.
Yeah, it's been extremely successful, and it didn't come without its hurdles. When we signed on, we didn't know that the world was going to look as it did, and that definitely provided some challenges and some extreme fears. When we were going into build out, everything was shutting down, and so that was extremely terrifying.
Yes, listening to this a couple of years from now.
Gosh, anytime now anybody, if they say, oh my goodness, are you worried about the recession or whatever it might be, there's always going to be something. And that's another thing I would tell people is there's always going to be something. But if you can open during the COVID era, if you will, and push through and make it through that, then at this point, I think you can
get through anything at that point. You dig down deep in yourself and just know that you can do it and you'll make it work. That's the commitment you have to yourself, because it'll pay off in the end. It really will.
What's next for you guys, professionally speaking?
Ooh, I don't know. More Perspires, hopefully, on the horizon. Venturing into other interests. We are always up for new opportunities. That's one thing that's great about us is if we see something we like it, we're going to research it. We're going to figure out if we can make it work or what kind of ability or involvement we want to have in it. So, I'm getting back into my gym routine, which I hadn't been in.
Oh, really?
So I'm doing some stuff with that. We'll see where that takes me, but definitely healthier in that respect, building strength. I ran my first marathon last fall. Not that I'm a runner at all, but I made it through and completed it.
You did that and the 50-mile
I did, yeah, absolutely. So I got a lot of those in, but now I want to do some strength things. So we'll see where that takes me, but that's kind of what I'm projected on. Ashley, how about you?
Yeah, so after diving into Perspire, and I kind of led the charge on that while Nate was still working his corporate job, and now he's dove more into Perspire. And as much as I talked about the corporate world at the beginning, I've dove back into that. I love working in franchising and working on that franchise business coach role, and so I have gone more onto that side of things with a brand here in Omaha. And so from there, just providing Nate support on the back end and learning as much as I can about the franchising industry because I love it.
And you fell in love with the coaching side of it, as you said. So if I recall, it had a lot to do with seeing how you guys got to success and guiding other peers who were franchisees to success and realizing, gosh, some of the things that you take for granted that you had to kind of push through and learn yourself or already brought to the table. Yeah. These aren't always things that people have as franchisees. So here you are you say the corporate side, but really it's the coaching side. You're still very much entrepreneurial. Yeah. But you're on the franchisor side helping coach franchisees. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is really cool and it's extremely rewarding. Again, when people go in with those doubts and those fears or they, come up with a problem, sometimes when it's your own business, it feels like the end, even if you're nowhere close to that or you do get to a hurdle and you feel like there's no way we can make it past this. I just want to be there to help guide other people and, learn from them as well, because I think they can very much teach me things that I've never thought about. But at the same point, hey, I've been through what I feel like all of it opening during the time we did and, with the expense structure that we did, I think that I'm also a valuable resource, and it's really cool.
Certainly a credible voice after that experience.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, congratulations to both of you. Is becoming a franchisor yourself in your future, do you think? It kind of sounds like the pedigree for you.
We'll find out. Maybe if we come across something really, really cool that we come up with ourselves, maybe we will. You never know. Like I said, we always love to jump into new things. Nothing's ever out of the question for us.
Yeah.
And that's what I love. We can continue to do more and more, and we throw conversations back and forth. And sometimes, we work on things, and sometimes we're like, no, we're gonna toss that away and never mention it again. But most of the time, we always charge forward and learn more and grow more.
And as far as learning more and growing more, what are you guys listening to or reading or paying attention to right now from a personal growth perspective?
Yeah. Gosh, I think we listen to and read so much. I mean, everything from physical and mental health, to learning entrepreneurship and all of that. So right now I am diving back into traction. So I can learn more about EOS and that method. So that's a little bit of where I'm focused right now, but that amongst many other things. And I'm definitely guilty of having many books that I've read 3/4 of the way and then dive into another book.
Welcome to my world.
Yeah, I'm the same way, where I have about 5 books on the shelf right now that I've gotten but have not had a chance to start yet. A couple, books that I'm in the middle of right now, about halfway through each one, and I should read them in, sequential order. But Dr. Jordan Peterson talking about, Beyond Order, his newest book, and then his first book, The 12 Rules. Those are, paramount when talking about discipline, figuring out yourself, believing in yourself, and just understanding how you work so that then you can go and have relationships with others and get past some of your own obstacles that might prevent your relationships with others. Relationships is all business is. It's a bunch of relationships, a bunch of conversations, and you have to constantly work all the time at that. That's something that I have, over the past, year, 2 years have had my own fair struggles with just, making sure that I'm conversing in the appropriate way so that my point gets across in a professional manner, as opposed to, complaining or frustrating someone. It's a work in progress every single day, but, committing yourself to the discipline to continuing at it, even if you're not that great at it, eventually you will become an expert, as long as you put in the time, the effort, and the will to get it done.
I could not have scripted a better wrap-up to this podcast episode, so we're going to wrap it up right there. Thank you, Nate and Ashley Clarkson, owners of the Perspire Sauna Studio in Omaha. Really appreciate you coming and sharing today your experience as younger entrepreneurs and continuing to grow in your professional and entrepreneurial pursuits.
Thanks, Blake. We appreciate you.
Thanks so much, Blake. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. And we appreciate all of you joining us on this episode of the Heartland Franchise Guy. Don't keep us a secret, right? So subscribe, follow, and share our podcast, particularly with those who you think would gain some value from these types of episodes. And of course, you can always hit that QR code at the bottom of your screen. If you have additional questions about this or other franchise opportunities, just rewind if you want to hear more about Perspire Sauna Studio in Omaha, and you've got all the contact information for them. Thanks to all of you for joining us on another episode, and we'll see you again soon on the Heartland Franchise Guy.